It's Wednesday, February 5th.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too.
Shocking proposal reaction coming in from the Middle East after U.S. President Donald Trump suggesting his country take over the Gaza Strip.
We will keep working until those tariffs are off the table altogether.
Renewed push. Work is starting to turn a 30-day tariff delay into a permanent end to the threat.
An imam in Islam is responsible for the security of the people who refer to him.
He was a spiritual leader, a philanthropist, and a man with deep ties to our country. The Aga Khan is being remembered after his death at the age of 88.
The province didn't close the warehouse, CSN didn't close the warehouse, the company closed the warehouse.
Amazon boycott. One of Quebec's largest union confederations calls for people to stop using Amazon. Stay with us, Canada. Your morning starts right now. Well, good morning, Canada. Welcome to Your Morning. I'm Anne-Marie Mediwake.
Good morning. I'm Lindsey Deluce.
I'm Kelsey McEwen. Happy Wednesday.
Lots of news to talk about. So we're going to jump right in on this Wednesday morning. So this morning, both Hamas and Egypt are rejecting the idea floated by U.S. President Donald Trump that the U.S. should, quote, take over Gaza and move all Palestinians out.
I would like to see Jordan. I'd like to see Egypt take some look. The Gaza thing has not worked. It's never worked.
Donald Trump made the comments during a White House news conference with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu said it's a, quote, idea worth paying attention to, and today it is being embraced by far-right politicians in Israel. The Palestinian ambassador, by the way, to the United Nations said, quote, our homeland is our homeland. Here's a live look at the city of Rafah right now. Senior Hamas official Sami Abu Zuri said this idea is a recipe for creating chaos and tension in the region. Saudi officials this morning are reaffirming their support for an independent Palestinian state and said establishing diplomatic ties with Israel depends on that. Meanwhile, President Trump has now also signed executive orders targeting the United Nations, criticizing them as, quote, not being well run. One of those orders withdraws the U.S. from the UN's Human Rights Council. But keep in mind, the U.S. already wasn't currently a member of that 47-member council. Donald Trump's other executive order says the U.S. will not resume funding UNRWA, an organization that assists Palestinian refugees. Former U.S. President Joe Biden paused funding for UNRWA in January 2024 after Israel accused about a dozen staff of taking part in the October 7th attacks. Cabinet ministers are in Washington this week looking for a permanent solution to the tariff situation.
What we know is the only ones that will be able to convince President Trump are Americans themselves. So we need to continue the pressure to make sure that we lobby Washington.
Natural Resources Minister Jonathan Wilkinson is trying to make a case for a Canada-U.S. energy alliance. This is happening as Canada Border Services shows off new technology. There it is, aimed at stopping the flow of fentanyl across the border. But ultimately, I mean, what happens next is President Donald Trump's call. For now, he's still saying the tariff pause is temporary. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith says Canada needs to do more to address President Trump's complaints.
We should stop making excuses, stop saying, yeah, but we're not as bad as the other guys. We should just say, yes, we agree, and we're going to take care of our part of the issue so you don't have to worry about us anymore.
According to U.S. border agents, less than 20 kilograms of fentanyl was seized along our border last year. Danielle Smith and other premiers will be lobbying in Washington next week. Well, the Aga Khan, spiritual leader to Ismaili Muslims around the world, has died.
I believe that civil society is one of the most powerful forces in our time.
He was born as Prince Karim Al Husseini. He became the Aga Khan at 20 years old. The Aga Khan was a man who came from a wealthy family and he was known to be a philanthropist who built hospitals, schools, and infrastructure around the world. In 1972, he convinced former Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau to welcome thousands of displaced Ismaili Muslims to Canada. He kept deep ties to our country ever since and became a close friend to the Trudeau family.
His Highness the Aga Khan was an extraordinarily compassionate global leader, a man of vision, of faith.
The Aga Khan was 88 years old. His foundation says a successor will be named soon. In other news, one of Quebec's largest unions is joining the growing calls in the province to boycott Amazon.
CSN is taking action, and it's urging the federal, provincial, municipalities, and all public and parapublic agencies to stop buying from Amazon, to cancel all contracts with Amazon, including cloud services.
Amazon says their decision to close 7 warehouses in the province was a business decision, but the CSN is accusing them of having, quote, blatant union-busting motives. When Amazon first announced the closures, it said nearly 2,000 people would lose their jobs. But analysis from CSN and Quebec's Labour Ministry shows that number is closer to 4,500 people after you include delivery service partners. CSN is planning a demonstration against Amazon on February the 15th. Police in Saskatchewan are investigating after 4 people were found dead on a First Nation there, about 100 kilometers east of Regina. At about 11:15 Tuesday morning, police were called for reports of sudden deaths at a home. They're now searching for a 29-year-old man who may be connected to those deaths. The same man is suspected of pointing a gun at people at around 3:15 in the afternoon. This all happened about 40 minutes away from Carry the Kettle. Police in Sweden this morning gave an update about the worst mass shooting in that country's history. Police say 10 people were killed at a school. This was in the city of Örebro. 6 people were also injured. The attacker is dead, although investigators did not confirm how the attacker died. Police say their main goal right now is to understand how the attack happened and why. They don't have a motive, but investigators say there's no evidence it was ideological. The shooting happened at a school for adults, but there were also children's schools on campus. Let's talk weather, because the cold snap in Alberta is causing problems for travelers really right across the country.
I was too late because of delays in Toronto to catch the flight to Grand Prairie. So they put me up in a hotel, and then when I got here today after leaving the hotel, they told me my flight was canceled.
WestJet canceled more than 130 flights since Monday, with frigid temperatures also forcing delays with other airlines. Some passengers are being delayed for days. The cold is also causing a surge in people needing shelter space. Some agencies are saying they are operating right now at overcapacity. Another problem, pets. Yeah, pets left out for too long. The Calgary Humane Society says calls have gone way up this week. There is a new bundle of joy at the zoo in Oregon. Stop. Their Asian elephant, Rose 2, has given birth to this adorable little one. Zookeepers say the baby elephant was standing within 15 minutes. Nice one. Took its first steps soon after. They also say Rose 2 is a great mom, and she and her calf are doing really well.